Hello, I'm Fez from the DAO Facilitation Squad, and we are happy for the possibility to have another round of conversations about one of the main issues among community members, BP power distribution and whale votes. This issue, as we all know, has always been a hot topic and so far a never-ending debate. With several discussions, proposals, and test pilots that are currently on the table, we would like to deep dive into this issue by sharing some engaged community member thoughts and insights. So, to explore different points of view and possible solutions to address the voting power distribution in the Decentraland DAO, here we are with Ile, one of the most engaged community members regarding this topic. So, hi Ile, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing good. Yeah, my Discord name is Ile, but you can call me Luke. That's my real name if you want. Um, but yeah, I'm happy to be here, happy to talk about it. It's been something been on my mind for the past few months. So glad we're doing this interview.
Perfect, perfect. Totally aligned then. Um, well, we can. You've probably done this before a couple of times already, but would you like to start with a quick intro of yourself and then we can jump into the questions?
Yeah, sure. So like I said, my name is Luke or Ile, and my background is in architecture. So I've been trained in design, and I work as an architect. Um, I've been involved in Decentraland since like 2017, I think. So I hold the land for one of the smaller districts in Decentraland. So I've been following the project since then. And my missions, I guess, in being in Decentraland is I want to use it as a platform for 3D content to explore 3D content, to present 3D content, and just to see what the platform and the metaverse idea can be used for in terms of people who create 3D content. Um, so yeah, that pretty much summarizes myself.
Nice background there. So, if you like, we can jump with the first question. It's more general.
hmm
So, what do you think about, what do you think are the main problems of the current voting system in the Central and DAO?
I think a lot of people would say that Wales voting is the biggest problem, but I don't really have a problem with Wales voting. I think that's just part of the system that we have, where VP or owning mana or investment equals voting power. I think a bigger problem is that people who don't have a lot of VP don't have a way of, I don't know, increasing their voice, I suppose. I think people with low VP get discouraged when a whale comes in and just kind of swing votes an entire issue with one vote. So I think if we can give like smaller people like hope or an avenue to eventually gain more influence, then it could alleviate a lot of the frustration. Um, yeah.
Okay, well,
So I guess one of the biggest problems would be like he's inequality of the spread of the VP, I guess.
yep. So, can totally relate what you're saying. And next question is directly related with that. What measures do you think are in place, or at least on the right path, towards ensuring that voting power is not overly concentrated among a small group of members? Or maybe we can rephrase it and think what you just said about like redistributing that voting power among rest of community members with
Yeah.
small VP.
Um, yeah, I think the delegation function is a super useful tool, but I don't think it's utilized that much. So I think that's something that's on the right path, and like enables a wider spread of voting power. And then I think if we could combine this with sort of VP reward system, then that would allow for people to be able to gain more voting power without necessarily spending money. And then if we create like some sort of VP reward system, it gives people like an avenue for getting more influence in our political system, but it also creates like this sort of achievement system or like meta game within Decentraland where you can acquire more VP by doing separate things. It kind of gamifies, um, I don't know, Decentraland and the DAO a little bit. Could be interesting. I mean, maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's something we should test out.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So following with what you just said, um, this approach about like generating incentives and different ways to allocate voting power. Um, what things would you suggest to like be rewarded or like to take into consideration for allocating BP? Like what kind of participation
Yeah,
or
it's hard to say because I think what it comes down to at the end of the day is like can accounts can they kind of farm and take advantage of it or not. I think anything, well, first of all, any category that we choose to reward, it has to be something that we can measure and verify through data. And then it also has to be linked to uh, a wallet, I guess, because you have to have a wallet address in order to delegate a VP to. And the experiment that I'm doing, the VP for social capital experiment, I've chosen frequent voting voters per month. So whoever votes the most during a monthly period becomes eligible for reward, and then explorers. So whoever explores the most parcels becomes eligible for some rewards. And those are just two that I chose to start out with, but it could potentially be expanded to the wallet that creates the most wearables or the wallet that deploys the most scenes. But it is tricky though because like if you did well if you chose the category the wall that deploys the most scenes, that might encourage people to just spam deploy things, which I don't think is what anybody wants. The same with voting. Like that's something I found over the past couple months is that there's bot accounts out there that are literally just auto voting in the hopes of getting rewards for being the most frequent voter. So if we start to actually give rewards to some of these categories, I kind of worry that it will just validate these accounts and they'll be like, okay, what I'm doing is working, and then it will just create more bot accounts that are trying to get these rewards. So I don't know. I don't know how it will end up, but I think it's something that we should definitely test out and try to work with, if that makes sense. I hope that answers the question.
yeah, it totally makes sense and it answers my question. And it also answers another one of my questions regarding yeah the fight against bots or other sort of things that users can do just
Hmm.
to gain more BP. But yeah, it's just I think to I need for testing and keep like doing these pilot tests that keep
Yeah.
running and see what's better for that because we can personally think we can go or aim to go to a more automated system, but if we only take the KPIs that you're mentioning, yeah, that will be not good for allocating BP.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
s-
What
see, yeah, sorry.
uh, obviously you guys have been thinking and talking about this. What categories have you guys thought about? I saw the post, I think it was Yamel's post a while back about the issue. What categories do you guys think would be appropriate to kind of track?
Yeah, first of
Or
all,
have you guys
yeah,
talked
we
about it? Yeah.
first thought like you, like rewarding the participation, taking into account
Mm-hmm.
the times that wallet votes, but that's like easily bypassed by bots and other, as I
Yeah.
said. Um, the other things that we are thinking on are, for example, uh, generating or creating incentives for people that actually takes or fulfills a role within different processes in the DAO. Like, for example, right now we are about to publish, to submit the binding governance proposal for the working groups. So it will be a good idea. This is my personal opinion on this, right? But it will be a good idea to like create incentives for people to like fulfill roles within that grouping, that working groups, and I know
Hmm.
by giving them temporary BP or something like that. So
Yeah.
that will encourage people to take part into like important discussions and try to address different issues that are around our DAO.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good idea. Um, it's just giving the people who are more involved more say, which kind of gets to one of your other questions, is like the conflict of interest question. Um, I don't think we should personally. I don't think we should worry about uh, or restrict conflict of interest, because you can always just move your your mana around or your VP around and then use it secretly. So I think if we try to police something like that, then it would just encourage secret voting. So I don't know. I don't know if that is a good strategy. Um, I don't think enforcing something like that would give the results that it's trying to get out of it. If that makes sense. Um, I don't know. What do you think about the conflict of interest
No, I also
debate?
think that anything that we like impulse within the DAO will bring conflict of interest. Maybe we need to try to think about a way, and now the most automated way to like not to give everyone what they want, but just to settle expectations between the parts. Um, I don't know. I don't think
Mm-hmm.
conflicts of interest will like vanish if we find the way to if we find a good way to address this. But yeah, we should take it into consideration.
Yeah, there's some degree of like I know there's nothing official, but there's like some degree of social pressure, I think, in the DAO, that like if you vote on your own proposal with an overwhelming amount of VP, like people will call you out on it, if they know who the address is, you know. But
Hmm.
like I'm saying, like you can easily just move the mana and then vote incognito. So I don't see. I don't know. It's kind of tricky. But if it's delegated VP, then you can't redelegate it. So as far as I know, so maybe it is something that should be addressed. Um, I don't know. I don't vote on my own proposals, but I don't make a lot of proposals personally. So
No, but that's a like a legit concern.
hmm.
Mostly with the grants, right? Because uh, there were a lot of votings where, uh, like you said, if you can track the address, you will find that the the same person that's submitting the proposal or the grant request is the one that's voting. But yeah, well, I think we should think
Yeah.
a way. We should think a way to like mitigate that that thing. But for now, uh, we can start by thinking how to redistribute the BP and maybe later on think a way to like mitigate that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
following with the incentives thing, What's your opinion on using the DAO treasury as a resource for allocating BP or to create our incentives?
I I think that's a great idea. Um I think that we have this treasury and it's man up to VP. So I think it makes sense to use it as a resource to delve out. But I think we should do it slowly. I think we should test it out because it sounds good, but maybe we should um, do like a small test of like 50,000 mana in a wallet that's used specifically for delegation, and we'll do it for a few months, and then we'll reevaluate and be like, is this working? Is this not working? And if it's working, we can make it bigger. If it has problems, we can try to address the problems. And if it's only a small amount, like a beta test or something of the idea, um, then we can stop it if it isn't working for some reason. Um, I do think that uh, any delegations from a pool like that, it should be a temporary thing. There should be like it should expire and go back to the pool after an amount of time. I think that should be built into it somehow. Um, but in general, I think using the DAO treasury as a resource is a great idea.
Perfect.
Is that
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
um, you think that's something that could happen, or that the DAOs that you guys are open to trying out?
To be honest, I think it's possible, but we need a like a
Hmm.
broader consensus to do that.
Yeah,
I personally
I talked to
never.
Gino.
I
Yeah,
think we didn't gave us the time to have this discussion with with the committee members or with broader part of the community, but I think it's feasible. Like doing that test
yeah,
that you mentioned with a small amount of VP, uh, because if we don't test it, we'll never know if that works and if that truly creates incentives for participants to vote or
yeah,
to get more involved.
yeah.
I
I
I mean
spoke
I
to
I I
Gino
think
of
I mean
it.
it's technically feasible. We need to discuss it further.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And test it out. I
Hmm.
don't think we should. I think we should slowly move into a lot of these ideas because, um, like there's probably unintended consequences. I spoke to Gino about it a couple months ago, and then I think he was doing something, thinking of something similar, but he was thinking that whales could like stake VP or something like that, and then that could be the pool, which is another interesting idea. But I don't know how that would work technically.
Yeah,
Um,
it is a good idea for
but
sure. We also need to go further on that discussion, but I think Gino just posted on the working group a link to
yeah,
that proposal. I
yeah, I saw
think
that.
I think it's pretty dope, dope also what he
Yeah.
did there. So
But
yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
let's keep going. No, it's fine.
So moving forward with our interview, um, let's jump to another field of discussion. Um, can you think of any examples of the recent decisions made in the DAO where the distribution of voting power play a significant role and community did not show a broad consensus?
Um, yeah, like, what do you mean by this? It's like there's a bunch of people voting, but people disagreed, or what do you? Is that what the question's getting at?
Yeah, you mentioned that you don't
Um,
think that whales are an issue per se, but there are as I mentioned, some grants or some uh, governance proposals
hmm.
that are voted, like you mentioned, with a lot of users vote, but there are or there might be one or two uh, whales uh, that flip over the votation. So if you can
Yeah.
recall any specific example of that,
Yeah, yeah. Whales are. I I think they're a problem. I don't think it's like illegal. I think it's a completely valid way of voting. So
Hmm.
that's what I said when I said that I don't think whales are a problem. I mean, I think it's discouraging to people, but with the system we have, I think it's valid. But a couple proposal examples. I remember, I think it was in the summer, there was some controversy about Shawnee using his VP to pass a few points of interest. And then the community kind of got together and um, I don't think they overturned it, but they called him out for it on Discord. Um, and that was kind of like, that was an example of like a conflict of interest resolution, I believe.
Hmm.
Um, so that's one. I think the recent DAO committee elections. So people were involved with that, but it seemed like Esteban and Shawnee kind of strong armed a veto of the process until um, I guess the rules had been better defined. Which I kind of agree with them on that, but that was another example of like two or three wallets kind of dictating the policy. Um, let's see.
Well, that are
I don't know.
like,
Maybe.
yeah, they're like great examples of what I was looking for.
Yeah,
Um,
those are two. Those are two I can think of initially. I'm sure there's more. I haven't really been voting that much in the past few months because I've been delegating
hmm.
my VP out. So I, there's probably people who can think of better examples.
Okay, perfect. It really answers my question, so we're good. Um, so I think we can start closing this interview, this conversation. It was more like a conversation than an interview. I love that.
Yeah, I
So
prefer that.
I would like to invite you to like share some final thoughts or to give some final uh, comments on this topic.
Yeah. Um, I think the main, and I wrote this in the recent write-up that I did. Um, but I think the main issues that uh, a VP reward system has is first of all, like the bot accounts. Like, how do you ensure that um, the people who are winning aren't just automated people farming rewards, and make sure they're actually people who are investing socially into Decentraland. So I think that's the number one thing that we'd have to figure out before we can scale up some sort of VP reward system. And I don't know if Decentraland is working on this or not, but I feel like we need some sort of proof of humanity system, whatever that looks like, tied to our Decentraland passports. Um, so I don't know if that's like KYC if you want to do that, or if it's a soul bound token solution. I'm not too familiar with how that works, but I think it could be a cool use case for the technology. Or maybe it's like in-world quests that have like CAPTCHA requirements or something like that. Just to make sure that you're not, I don't know, auto voting or auto exploring or something like that. But I think Decentraland needs to figure that out before we can go forward with like a large scale automated VP reward. So that's one thing. And then the other concern that I brought up was where you get the data from and making sure that that data is, I guess, like accurate and unbiased. Um, Again, I'm not sure what the solution to that would be. I'm sure there's people who have figured out like third party, um, I guess, comparisons of data or something like that. But I think you have to make sure that whatever list you're using to determine who the winners of this VP system are. That list information needs to be checked and made sure that it's correct, I guess, somehow. But overall, I think the idea of creating a system where users can get VP without spending money is a great idea. It should be tested out, and it can, I don't know, alleviate a lot of the concerns within the DAO right now that whales kind of just control everything.
Okay, nice closure there.
Sorry, it was a lot.
No, no, no. It
Um,
was wonderful. Yeah, yeah. I personally, not as a facilitator, but I personally share a lot of your thoughts. So it was a great
mhm,
conversation. I want to thank you in the name of the squad, and personally also I want to thank you for giving us this time with you, sharing your thoughts, and for being transparent. So I
mhm.
think we can wrap it up here. Uh,
Okay.
as I
Okay,
mentioned
great.
you, this conversation was recorded. I think we're going to upload it in next few days when the community post goes out. And I think there's nothing else on my end.
Okay, great. Well, it was great meeting you, Fez. And yeah, let me know if you have any other questions or need anything else, or have any criticisms of the the project I'm working on.
Thank you, Luke. Talk to you
All right.
later.
Have a good. Yep. Have a good day.
Have a good day.